as the underdogs, but okay.
Then Dogi says I'm shaking my boots.
Well, they banned Twitch right off the hop. For NAVI to get rid of Twitch, that is a targeted ban against Team One, evidently. We'll see what the final 2 rounds of bans coming in are. For an Oregon ban, you want to see Thatcher and Mira, likely oNe, could be a Kaid, could be a Valkyrie in regards to our very final one coming in.
I think the Kaid here makes sense because you got Thatcher and Mira, and the Twitch and the Thatcher ban, but no, it will be the oNe. So Kaid is left open. This makes the basement bomb set extremely strong, but then you can kind of argue that with oNe being gone, it makes basement still strong, but a little bit less strong, so it's a pretty good bomb site still. But yeah, oNe is of course played often with the Jaeger. You can bunker up on shields. That won't work as good this time around.
In regards to individual performances, nobody on NAVI had a particularly good day yesterday.
No.
Blur and Doki were the 2 best players on the team in terms of what they brought in killing potential, but outside of that, the strategic depth of NAVI was quite poor. For Team One, it was the Ali Mao show. As we have seen before, that team has a ton of depth as well. For their run through Mexico, when Team One prevailed and were the first Brazilian team to win a major international event, not the first international event, that would be Team Liquid, doing it all the way back in Season 7 in Atlantic City, defeating your team, Nick.
Yep.
But
nightmares.
As for Team One, there was a ton of depth on that team. You had good games from Lagonas. Neskin was incredible. Levy, I believe, was the MVP of that very final matchup.
Yes.
Every single player showed up. Yesterday it was just Ali Mao, and they kind of lost the plot through the course of that matchup, and even Ali Mao started to fall off on Villa. So both these teams come in probably rejuvenated. I don't know which one will have the upper hand, but for NAVI, it's a very low bar to clear. So low that Doki couldn't even walk under it.
Let's not make fun of Doki just yet. He said in the in-game chat he's shaking his boots. We need to motivate him, if anything. Every single player from NAVI last night in their previous matchup against OXG were negative on the scoreboard. So obviously they didn't have a lot of things going on for them. They want to now rectify that and show that they can shoot back, because if anything, NAVI is quite an aggressive team. They got quite capable players. They just didn't show that as of yesterday. And now in Oregon, it is a map where you gotta get active. You can't just sit in corners. We saw Sonics do that. What happened? Empire just made a massive comeback. So you gotta get active and you gotta get out on the map and challenge your opponent. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time.
That's exactly correct. We're gonna see Ali Mao be the first one downed. Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm not really sure what that initial altercation was on this downstairs take from Team One, but losing your Flores when you have to use those Rotero drones. We saw this yesterday, you and I, in the Sonics and Empire matchup, how critical a Rotero drone is when you're taking bunker and blue side of this supply room bomb site. So you've lost that, and most importantly, you've lost your team captain. You've lost the player who statistically kept your team in more rounds than you probably deserve to be in. So that's something that Team One are going to have to deal with for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, but if you're not on this side, you got Doki running around the map right now. I spoke about earlier how you gotta get out, get active, and really contest your opponent. That's exactly what NAVI is doing. They're playing on every single staircase, secretly on the big tower. You had a player on the freezer stairs. Doki was in meeting, got the opening kill. This is looking really good. Now NAVI, they've burned half the round already, and no one from Team One is actually really inside the building right now. They're all just sitting ducks, waiting for something.
I'm not exactly sure what their focus is at the moment, but they're doing their best upstairs on this top floor. Maybe try to get rid of the roamers. You can see that with there being an Oryx in play, that'll be Blur. They are not holding just the basement bomb site. In fact, you saw the Oryx playing over inside of Small Tower. He's currently hidden, playing behind the sandbags by stage, and Levy almost ends up seeing him, but then gets away quite safely, waiting for that Oryx to strike.
Yeah, and this is often what happens when you don't have enough manpower. But look at this, Blur. He buys the time. He just sits there.
So patient, and they're going to go on the Gemini and immediately drop. He could get 2 kills for the price of 1 right now. 3! All he needs to do is pop up. He knows they're there. They're juggling the diffuser. 4 people inside a lobby. Will Blur pop up and catch them? How long is he going to wait for? Will they find him or not? He might have missed his golden opportunity. Levy's still there with KDS now, and that is not an actual Gemini. He pops up, and he gets both with the grenade dropped, but no, he manages to avoid it. A huge play with Doki picking up kill number 2, leaving Lagonas to die, and they will start off flawlessly on the side of NAVI.
Oh my, I honestly, Blur, the biggest set of balls on this man. I was thinking 1 player, 2 player, 3. There was 4 players at one given moment right next to him. He didn't even flinch. And you said the golden opportunity might actually have slipped away, but he still managed to find 2 kills. And honestly, that's amazing. Bit worried about that grenade at his feet, but he Oryx dashed away, got back down into safety. Flawless round for NAVI to open it up, and that early aggression, and again, making it difficult for your opponent, that just shined through so true this round, and that's exactly what NAVI will continue to need to do to keep that up. I mean, Doki got 3 kills as well.
Yes,
so he said he was shaking his boots, but not really, right?
Doki got first kill, 4th kill, and 5th kill to Blur's 2 in the middle. And like we said, those were very crucial kills, with Blur at one point having 4 kills available to him. But instead, well, he waits very patiently. So a tremendous first round from NAVI, and honestly, a bit of a blunder from Team 1 to not properly drone out exactly what's going on inside a meeting. If you're going to take that E-box hatch and you're going to drop down, and the entire focus of your push is to send 1 or 2 players down freezer, control pillar in the back of the bomb site, and then drop box, you kind of got to make sure that meeting is clear. That was something that Team 1 did not do. And in terms of the level of sophistication, even the most amateur teams can't be making mistakes like that, let alone a team that is a defending major champion for Mexico and is looking to try to make a deep run here for the 6th Invitational.
Certainly, and even more so after that game of yesterday, the first game of Invitationals. If you start on loss, you really want to go swinging in that second game day. You don't want to get a loss back-to-back. That's going to set you up for a very difficult time of success going forward, but also just you want to live up to expectations. Team 1, I mean, not a single team here is bad by any means. Every team here is absolutely amazing. But Team 1, former major winner, they've done it before and they want to show they can do it again. NAVI, if anything, they're just here to show that 1, they're a good team as well, but 2, that Europe as a region can still play at the highest level, because let's be honest, it's kind of been like the LATAM and in a way the APAC show the last 6 months.
Yes, it absolutely has. So that's only 1 round. There's a lot more to play. This is Team 1's map, and all of the maps, we'd like to remind you, tend to skew towards the defenders. So if attackers are capable of getting more than 2 rounds, that is a major boon for them. In this case, round number 2 begins significantly better, with Nath getting taken down, or Nath. I think there was actually some debate yesterday as to how we pronounce his name.
The nade.
But another nade gets tossed in, and KDS collects his 2nd kill on to saves. That's the Polish player of NAVI no more.
Yep, we had a discussion with the whole thing where that's the smoke off the board as well, by the way, on save. So basically now the toxic pips are gone. Levi finds another. He's just doing it all by himself. He doesn't even need a team right now.
Oh no, these nades are hitting their mark. Are we about to see back-to-back flawless rounds? No, Blur says not this time. It was so crucial in the previous round on that Oryx. He's going to allow that diffuser to get planted. Lagona's at the halfway point. Tracer's over his shoulder as Blur looks towards the top of White Stairs. Pings inside of Attic. He's trapped in this spot with only 16 bullets. If they collapse on him, there's absolutely no way he's going to be able to live for that much longer. 2 kills from KDS, 1 from Neskin, and 2 from Levi. That's the round, and again, almost a flawless. Both of these rounds, so fascinating how it can be NAVI dominating, and then they immediately crumble. And it's Team 1 to dominate round 2.
Yeah, right now it's all about the picks, especially the early pick, the first initial one. And whoever gets it seems to have quite a big advantage. And Oregon is kind of about that, where the more guns you have alive, the better off you are, because there are very few entry points for the opposing team on the attacking side. Team 1 not being super active on the map. They had the similar playstyle the first round and the second, where they were kind of sitting outside and waiting around. The difference is that on the second round, they found the picks, and on the first round, they crumbled and they didn't really get a whole lot of map control. So I do imagine for NAVI that the basement bomb site and maybe even the tertiary bomb site might just favor them, as opposed to going kid storms that doesn't allow for as much mobility as the other bomb sites. But we'll see how it plays out. For now, we have a little bit of a pause. I believe that's a technical timeout, or a technical pause. So not a tactical, but technical. Just gonna see what's going on, if it's a mouse problem, a keyboard problem, a sound problem. But actually, we might just be on the way in just a moment.
Yeah, that was a quick one. I don't know exactly what the issue was, but we'll get right back into the matchup. NAVI have a chance to go back upstairs if they want it. That Dorm's bomb site will remain open. The only one that is locked is Laundry Supply Room. It'll open up next round. And with how triumphant a defense we saw, a lot of it hinging on off-site play that went unseen by Team 1. A mistake that I don't think Team 1 is going to commit again. Well, NAVI are probably going to want to go back downstairs as quickly as they can. But they had a chance to go to dorms a second time. And when we see a team get shellacked the way that we just saw from NAVI, it's actually quite easy for a team to go back there and say, well, we can't have as poor of a performance on this bomb site. Yeah, you know what? If you're playing a third bomb site or even like a pocket pick, that doesn't usually have the best defense rate. For example, let's say bar stock on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
You might not want to go back there immediately. You might want to go to a safer bomb site. But here on Oregon, dorms upstairs tends to be one of the safest, if not the safest bomb site for defenders. So I am a little intrigued as to why NAVI have decided, let's go to meeting and kitchen.
I do think NAVI just wants like the mobility and the freedom of the bomb site, which kids dorms, usually you play like 4 guys on side. You could do a big tower extension, but not a whole lot of teams do it, and not a whole lot of teams find that good success on it. So going tertiary, going to that meeting kitchen or kitchen dining bomb site just allows you to extend up above and out on the map. And I mean, it worked the first round, so statistically NAVI's like, well, let's make it work again on the second bomb site. So I think that's the thought process behind it. We did see the 6-pick coming out from NAV from the Kaid onto the Echo. So kind of trying to trick around the whole, do we have information, do we not have information? IQ is not an operator that almost any team has picked. In fact, I haven't seen it being picked yet at this 6 Invitational. So whenever you're bringing out information, such as the Echo, it can be tricky for the opposing team to figure out where exactly are these yokai drones.
Well, if you had such a problem with meeting for Team 1, you're going to have to be a little bit more sharp with this bomb site, because now that's actually part of the map that you need to get that diffuser planted, and the default plant spot for most teams tends to be where Blur was sitting if you don't want to go for a plant inside of kitchen. Given the stack up that we see from Team 1 on the back of the map over by Large Tower, that'll be T1, T2, and T3, it almost looks certain that meeting will be the big focus. It's very easy to train your sights in that direction and completely exclude kitchen. If you look at the top-down view, the B bomb site kitchen is completely empty. The only player nearby is Nath, who's sitting inside of security on that yokai drone, as you said. And if you haven't played in a while, need we remind you that the yokai drones no longer cloak. So Echo is far more vulnerable, and his gadgets are far easier to spot than they were before. This means that Echo often needs to be more active as an operator, and his gadgets need to be better placed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Nav is actively using the drone because otherwise it will just die out, and that's very well done for him. But it also means NAVI, they only have 4 guns active on the map, whereas Team 1, they have 5 active guns and a grenade from down below. That's secretly off the board, a huge pick as he was guarding the breach from inside of meeting.
And that's the very first pick for Team 1. Again, 2 rounds in a row where they're able to open things up, and they're going to continue to snowball this. It seems like that first round for NAVI was a bit of an anomaly, as Team 1's guns far sharper on round 2, and now looking to do the same on the 3rd round. KDS waiting patiently down below. He's got a Gemini that can go through and give intel with just 40 seconds left. This is going to be a tough go of it. A cheeky little angle from the Echo inside of security. That's a long-range kill potential for NAVI. They're going to wait, even if they're down in numbers, for the Team 1 execute to come out. KDS roam clearing down below. If he gets the attention of a single player of NAVI, that means that there's 2 on site to worry about. And Doki will quarterback the defense, playing over by Split and Flag. Defense now have to struggle as halfway for Lagonis on that diffuser, but the yokai will knock him off. His head is seen for but a second, and Nath will get yet another, waiting on the time. Lagonis finished off by Doki, but here's KDS on the flank. Doki says no thank you. Deftly avoids the grenade as Levy gets that diffuser down. But no! The yokai drone goes the wrong way! He gets it at the last second. Incredible stuff by a hair. NAVI wins the round at the final moment because of the yokai.
Imagine you're a Nav on the yokai, you're droning, the timer is 0, you're gonna jump to the ceiling, shoot the planter, we win on time, but then the drone falls down the hatch that KDS so nated earlier, taken down secretly, and for a moment, I believe both us and Nav thought, oh no, is that going to be the round? It was about 1.6 or so seconds left, so quite close indeed, but not close enough if you're Team 1. NAVI got the round, now 2-1 up, and what looked to be a terrible beginning for them off that round, losing 2 opening picks, making that a 3 versus 5. Doki and Nave in comparison together, or yeah, together, they managed to really bring it back. You stalled with the Yokai, Doki found some picks, then the flank came through from KDS, Doki got the trade 1-for-1, making that an even numbered 3 versus 2 plus the Yokai drone. So honestly, not bad at all from NAVI.
That was a round that NAVI was losing until they weren't as well. Team 1 got those first 2 picks. They push in, they clear out. KDS is on the flank. He trades himself off 1-for-1. Even at that point, if you get a single kill on flank and then you immediately die, it still is the attention of one of the 2 remaining players from NAVI. That leaves Nath as the only player left upright because Doki is playing inside a split. He gets the kill onto KDS. He can't pivot in time. He's zoned out by the grenade in front of him with the Rotero drone that's blocked out by the mute jammer. So what does he have to do? He has to bide time and possibly swing one of those 2 split doors, looking all the way to the stage. There's 2 sets of eyes from Team 1 that are trying to guard the diffuser being planted, and Levi just gets knocked out of it at the last second because while Team 1 are so focused on Doki and where that potential mystery 5th operator is, which they know is an Echo at this point, they don't know where that second Yokai drone is. So kudos to NAVI for playing in the post plant. It's not uncommon to see teams seed the bomb site and then play for the retake, and even though they didn't physically retake it, the drone did, and that was enough to give them the round.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you lose a round to that, it's absolutely, it sucks. But when you win a round with it, you're kind of laughing because honestly, you didn't do much, but it's honest work, right? Nave didn't really move a single muscle that round. He started the round inside of servers and he won the round inside of servers on his Yokai drone as well. Team 1, I think, only assumed there was 1 Yokai drone in range because when Lagonis got hit the first time, he just said, you know what, I can tank the second hit, then the 3rd time the plant will actually come down. But then when Nave rotated the second Yokai drone over, you get 2 extra shots, and that's kind of where the surprise factor came through, and we all saw what happened. This time around though, Nave stuck his guts on the Kaid, and he will do a good job tricking the first hatch here inside of lobby. That should signify to Team 1 that yes, 1, the Kaid is on the board, he's being active, but also he has priority on lobby in particular. Nave is probably going to try and chase Hibana and try and figure out the mind games of like, oh, which hatch is he breaking right now? They gotta open the freezer hatch, and then we'll see what they do next.
Well, it's been 90 seconds into round number 4, and this is amazingly the slowest of all of the rounds up to this point. A bit puzzling, actually, that Team 1 haven't been as quick to the punch as they want to be. KDS looked to soldier down and run as quickly as he could on those freezer stairs. Instead, he comes right back. They've droned out meeting this time, by the way. You're not going to have Blur waiting in the shadows at all. Instead, you've got a much better focus on map control. And I guess I said again, I doubt a team of their caliber repeats that same mistake. So Team 1 shoring up some of the weaknesses. It also means that NAVI are going to play a little differently. They know they can't get away with that cheeky strategy. Nath is no longer on the Oryx to hold map control and move around quickly. Instead, you're going with the utility denial and the oNe. And additionally, having access to the DMR or the oNe means that you're a proficient killing machine. In this case, it'll be the oNe in the hands of Blur.
Yeah, I really like what you said earlier about how we don't expect these teams to make the mistake twice because everybody makes mistakes. That is a given. But it really comes down to, are you going to be repeating mistakes or are you just, you know, given that one free chance and then that's fine, it happens. So, starting to see tight gameplay this round. KDS might opening up with this nade.
And there's a nade for Pillar ready to fall off, but Saves is on the other side of it. He's waiting very patiently. He's got focus on blue. Some bullets will give his position away, and the call will also be made from the top of the stairs as KDS walks right down into Doki. It's a joint effort. Saves is the next one up. He grabs the diffuser and pivots away. Doki 2 kills. Ali Mao's in the middle of the bomb site looking towards blue. This is a blind spot right now, and Saves will have to worry as it's just Lagonis now in a 1v1. What a massive round from Saves, and he quite literally lives up to his namesake as he saves the round for NAVI.
Very well done by Saves, playing in that pillar and electric position, making great use of 3 different angles and picking up multiple kills as well. Carl, Alemo really had Carl had a great injury into sight. I thought it was over, but he got both the player inside of stock and the guy inside of elbow with a nice flick. It wasn't enough. Timer actually hit 0, and on the dot, Lagoni started planting. I think Saves was under the impression that, oh, I'm just gonna run away, hide in this corner, but then the very last moment, they stuck the plant. But you have 7 seconds to get it down, and 7 seconds was plenty enough time for Saves to run around the map, or around the bomb site rather, and pick up the poor Lagonis, who didn't know any better because he was too busy planting diffuser, which he had to do. He could not get off it, because if you do that on the 0th second, well, you lose the round regardless.
Well, back upstairs to dorms they will go. So far, NAVI favoring this 3-site rotation. We saw a couple defenses of that joint kitchen mess hall bomb site yesterday. Probably we'll see it again today at some point. Again, kitchen is a part of 2 separate bomb sites. You've got the one meeting extension, then you've got mess hall on the other side of it, which is also known as cafeteria. All the teams will have their own regional callouts for it. But kitchen is the main uniting factor between the two of them. Teams like to defend meeting regardless of whether it's mess hall where the bomb site is or inside a meeting. Teams will often extend in this direction. Upstairs to dorms, though, this is where NAVI is going to go for this particular round. They did not have a very good effort back in round number 2. It is the only defense of this bomb site that NAVI has attempted. It's also their only loss so far on defense, and it was a pretty pitiful attempt. They lost control early on. Team 1 got the first pick, carried it through, and by the 90-second mark, 2 players of NAVI were down, including the smoke, one of the most crucial operators to deny areas, not just for where the push is going to come from, but to also deny a potential plant going down over by games or the doorway from trophy leading into bunks. So keep an eye on how Saves plays in particular, because if he can stay safe, pardon the pun, then NAVI's chances will rise quite quickly.
Yeah, NAVI actually bringing some tricks of their own right now. Blur on the Frost. We saw the Frostman inside our master bedroom, the attic drop, and then big window as well. And then we see Nave now bringing information. So Nave really showing the flexibility. He played Monty in their game yesterday against OXG. He played Kaid, he played Echo, now he's playing the Valkyrie. Also, really heavily playing out that information game. NAVI as a team as well. They got the evil or the black eye cameras. They got bulletproofs, 2 of them, one on Jaeger, one on Frost. So NAVI really wants this information to make their decisions and not go blind against Team 1. And honestly, I like that. We haven't seen that much info play so far. Valkyrie is typically banned almost every single game at this event. It's quite nice to see it open.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because teams don't really get a good look at your opponent's Valkyrie cams because she is so seldom used. And more importantly than that, the 6 Invitational tends to bring the greatest set of eyes to this game. And the casual players who watch pro play, they learn an awful lot from where these black eye cams can go. I'm sorry, but let me interrupt myself for just a second here. Lagonis was getting the diffuser down. He's at half of his HP, and now he's almost halfway down, but he gets stopped at the last second by Blur. That was a very brazen attempt for Team 1 to get some objective play going. The diffuser, though, is now hopelessly surrendered by Big Window and by the bunks, and there are plenty of toxic canisters to wait out the remainder of the minute. But as I say that, a second one goes off. KDS walks right in, top of white stairs. That's the freest kill of his life to gun down Saves. The smoke is gone. No more toxic beauties, no more coverage. And a nitro cell was used earlier to try and deny the plant. KDS still walking in. That's his second kill. Neskin at the window as Nath is down below. He'll catch the Yana. That's the real deal, not a clone, not the Gemini. So back up the stairs he'll go. Control on white. He's got a nice cross with Blur. Ali Mao has been down in a frost mat. 30 seconds left. How do you expect that in there? And a slow walk from Neskin. A try and out duel the Frost. That's an easy one for him, but it's now a 1v2 as Ali Mao is still downed. Levi was not in the cut and thrust. He was not a part of the objective play. They'll look to maybe secure Ali Mao or just play keep away. And what a beautiful shot from Doki to clean things up on that final round. NAVI on defense, on Oregon. They've taken 4 rounds. They've won the half, and they fixed the mistakes that we saw them commit on dorms just a couple rounds ago.
That they did indeed, and that was a dirty trick. The Frost pick from Blur really shined this round. Lagonis and the team of Team 1, they wanted to go in for a quick plant. They thought they could get cheeky, but they got shut down quite quickly. Well done for NAVI. Neskin and KDS hand in hand together from that white stairs and Big Window jumping. They found the opening and they found the kills, but then they stalled out. Levi was on that Kid Storm's Repel, couldn't do a whole lot of things, had to get off it, run all the way around the building, and while that happened, it was Alemo who unfortunately stepped into a frost trap inside the master bedroom closet, and that is kind of that. That leaves you halfway across the map. One person's injured, Levi is lost outside the building, and you can't do a whole lot with that. NAVI, they played tight together, with the exception of Saves kind of sprinting away, getting shot in his back, unfortunately.
This is the second or third round that I've watched from Team 1 where they seem to have all of their players with very distinct spots on the map. And if something goes wrong, if somebody throws a spanner in the plan, that you end up with the players looking like they're so far out of position. Look at Levi on the previous round. His job was to be down below, have nades, open up the wall, and then sit down and wait to maybe get somebody on flank, knowing that NAVI really likes their flanks. And NAVI have tried to flank on a number of these rounds and keep a mystery operator off of, I would say, the bomb site and off of objective play. But Team 1 losing somebody early, or Team 1 having issues with, Lagonis gets into the site, dies early. Alimao is in the site. He's doing a wonderful job trying to create space, picks up 2 kills inside a laundry supplier, and then gets gunned down. But it's not ultimately as effective to the overall strategy. And there are certain rounds where Team 1 just looks like a team of individuals rather than a group playing together. I'm sure that's a deliberate strategy, but Navi are feasting off of that, winning these gunfights when Team 1 players are isolated, and ultimately, the Brazilian team is languishing because of that.
Oh, yeah, we saw in the interview before the game, although here we might see some death coming out. It's Neskin taken down by Secretly, but he was not alone. It was Doki there as well. Navi making sure the 2v1 gets utilized. They don't want to be alone, and that is great for them. In the interview before the game, we heard Elemo talk about how they've kind of changed their roles around. They want to be different, not default. Okay. They don't want to be default, and I think what kind of that speaks to that is that Alemo used to play Bok a lot. It was like the Alemo show, he'd walk around, he would be fancy, getting kills, getting highlight clips all the time. But Team 1 as a team, they didn't really shine a whole lot. Now we're seeing Alemo just on the floor so far. That kind of speaks more of like a team cohesion. Now Alemo is forced to be with his team because his gadget is dependent on it, and he has to clear utility before he can go crazy. Right now, they haven't really found success with it just yet, but I do think that consistently across the board, it should be a better approach for them.
This is a very similar setup to what we saw from Navi last time when they got picked off one by one and then got saved by the Yokai drone. Nath is still on that same operator, so I'm sure Team 1 will be looking for the drones a little bit more effectively. We're just past the halfway mark of the round, and they've managed to open up on Team 1's side of things. Stage wall. And will now send in a potential Flores drone. They're going to have to break both of those laser gates that are stopping easy entry. The right side panel is down and Secretly gets shoved out of his spot. He's playing with an SMG at close range, but he can also do the same with a shotgun. Looking for his legs is Levi, but Doki, where are you? Are you on the flank? Where does Alimao get picked down from? Doki playing over by Split. This is the pivotal spot that he was in before. KDS was the one that was shoved up from laundry stairs to try and take him down, but it looks like the 3 remaining members of Team 1, in large part because they lost Neskin early, have to stack up on the back of the stage. They'll juggle the diffuser around, 35 seconds, and a 5-1 scoreline for Navi would be a hell of a first half. But they've got some work to be done. They hold a major advantage. Lagonis is the one flanking, but there's a door to stop him. He'll be heard over by security, assuming that the Echo is still there. Saves from above, and he's got a beautiful angle. Nath takes down Lagonis, so the Thermite's not going to be able to do too much, but Saves missing out on that opportunity. Levi walked in. It's a bait, as all the eyes from Navi are trained in the same direction. And how about a flawless end to the first half? Navi started it off flawlessly. They end it flawlessly, and a 5-1 scoreline for the European squad is about as dominant as you can get.
That's quite nice from Navi. I think it's time for Team 1 to consider a timeout, maybe a little bit of a pause here and talk about how they're going to bring it back on the side swap. But talking about that last round we just saw first, Doki, you might say, oh, he's just swinging people, like he's doing crazy things, but if you paid attention, Doki actually has a bulletproof inside of meeting that watches the breach, and he's playing proactively off that and Split. And the reason why Split is such a good position to be in is because you got a door on the left and you got a door on the right. So you can be like, oh, I'm gonna swing left, oh, now I'm gonna swing right, I'm gonna do a double right, it doesn't matter. And the enemy won't know any better. And both times that they defended meeting, Doki has found so much success on this particular position. It's really carrying Navi on this bomb side.
Doki was somebody that they rely upon to do very well. Yesterday, the talk was of Blur and Doki underperforming what you expect of them. And they had a pitiful performance against Oxygen yesterday.
Rough.
There's really no sugarcoating how poor Navi looked in their match yesterday. But against Team 1, Team 1 and Oxygen are both very good teams. But if you're going to give a nod to which team is better, I mean, you're crazy to not go with Team 1. They come in globally as the first-ranked team, the best-ranked team in all of Rainbow Six Siege. They just won a major 7 months ago in Mexico. So you look at it and you think, okay, well, if you struggled that hard against Oxygen, does their playstyle match up better against OXG or Team 1? And irrespective of how your playstyle matches up, which team is going to be stronger on the server, in the battlefield? And right now, NAVI seemingly have shaken off whatever issues they had yesterday, and they have found magic. I would like to remind you that this is Team 1's map, and they are currently getting stomped 5-1 by NAVI, but that was just the first half. As you said, there's still potential for them to call a timeout on Team 1's side, and the first bit of action is Lagonis almost losing his life to Doki.
Doki is absolutely sharp. I mean, we have the silhouettes on our casting screen, but I don't know how Doki managed to see the leg of Lagonis there. Now, keep in mind, Lagonis playing mute inside of servers with jammers, so that makes this like a fortress that is hard to penetrate or breach. Secretly has, of course, brought out the Maverick, which means they will need to make their way inside of Kitchen to try and open up some line of sight to clear this player. Lagonis playing a crucial position, but taking that much damage early on from Doki might play a pivotal point in this round. Blur, of course, can go up above and sledge the floor as well. That also does the trick, but the most important part is that they clear out this player first. That has to be the highest factor here. Sledgehammer goes through, C4 gets tossed out, doesn't hit a single thing. He drops to the basement, and now they have control.
Well, Lagonis might as well try to fight for as much as he can with how little HP he has. You don't want to die with that Nitro Cell in pocket, so I don't doubt that Lagonis was hoping for a kill or two, and it's not bad to potentially blow your C4 a bit early. NAVI have now used half of the round as we've got 90 seconds left. They've cleared that top floor and are continuing to invest in the roam clear. The question is somebody from Team 1 holding any map control that isn't on the bottom floor? An answer? No. There you go. On your screen, every single player from Team 1 either nestled into the bomb site or close enough where they can get in with a second or two to one of the bomb chassis. This means that NAVI have the map control if they want. They'll have to clear out blue. And NAVI need to figure out where they want their attack to be, by the way. They are spread out all over the map. You've got 60 seconds to get your troops together and march into the bomb site.
One of the big problems that NAVI might run into right now is that they don't really have anything to break out this bomb site. They have no smoke grenades because Nav and Firma is playing flashbangs. They don't have, for example, Ying or Capital, so it has to be brute forced. It does look like a backside push with big tower stairs, meeting hatch control, etc. But we all know from yesterday's games, you cannot just go from one direction. You see here, Blur, Freezer, then you have the floors on the main stairs of Armory side, then you have two guys backside. This is really good from NAVI, but the kills have to come out in their favor for this to work.
A split push is going to be greeted by toxic canisters as well. KDS first to fall, as there's a nade from NAVI that goes in, takes out Levi. Nave takes out Neskin, Lagonis gone, and it's all Ali Mao. They stack up. How about another flawless round? 3 flawless rounds from NAVI as they now sit on map point with 3 rounds, not resulting in a single death for their squad.
Well, I did say they need to find the kills for this to work, but they found every single one and didn't lose a single soldier in that process. That is extremely beautifully done. And most importantly, they had pressure from every single area at once. That is exactly how you want to be attacking Oregon basement, especially if you don't have something to break down the site with, which they did not. So NAVI doing a great job at reading the round, reading the game, and understanding what they need to be doing to have a chance to actually win it. Doki on the entry, Blur with 7 kills as well. They did a really good job in that early round of clearing out Lagonis inside of server. And if you guys remember, Blur only made a single sledge hole before Lagonis chose to drop down into the basement hatch back to site. And the reasoning for that is because Blur chose to hammer the floor in the exact correct position. Oftentimes, if you have the situation with a player inside of a room, you should be sledging the runaway point, because that means if he didn't run away, he's going to be stuck inside that room. Oftentimes, you see people on the sledge, they will just start hammering the floor randomly, trying to look for the opponent, but that shouldn't be the goal. If you box him in, you got him. So that should be your choice. That should be what you want to do. That's exactly what Blur did. Well done for him. And of course, we also saw that Lagonis had no choice but to drop instantaneously because of that.
Now, while we are hurtling at a very fast speed to the ending of this particular map, there is still at least one more to go. NAVI will then play on Cafe next, no matter what happens here. Even if Team 1 mount one of the most impressive comebacks that we've seen at this event, albeit only on the second day, so I have to say things like that. I just want to let you know that when we have to couch our praise and criticism in absolute terms like that. Either way, we are going to Cafe next. This is Navi's map. The tiebreaker, for those of you that have not been paying attention, is Villa. At the present moment, it certainly doesn't seem like we're going to need that third map, but we don't need to get ahead of ourselves.
No.
I say all this because if this matchup ends up going very quickly and we have a break between now and map number 2, I need to remind you that there is another stream that is going on over at twitch.tv/Rainbow6 6 Bravo. So head on over there. Damwon Kia is playing up against MIBR. I'm not going to spoil the results because actually I don't know what the results of the game are right now. It could be over. It could still be going. Completely unsure. But if you want to go over to that channel, you're welcome to do that. For the crowd that is watching this back, know that there are VODs from both of the streams that will be uploaded at some point later today.
Certainly. I mean, we were in the beach stream yesterday, Parker. We had a great time, had some phenomenal games, and I have no doubt that that will continue on throughout today and the rest of this tournament.
Wait a minute. Team 1 just made a call based on intel that they had, and they all just head much deeper into the bomb site. They were playing over by Freezer, they were playing over by the hallway, and they've now shoved themselves over towards blue. While doing that, they've lost KDS, who's been the top performer for his team. The rest of the squad combined only amounts to 9 kills over the 7 rounds that they've played. That is not particularly good. So in terms of fragging potential, you're not just down a player, but you're down the best player on your team. It's just an oNe, so I mean, your gates are still up, you're going to persist, but that is a player who you want to be in the action. Nade tossed down from Doki to Levi. It misses, and Levi might decide to re-aggress on the back stairs. He's got Lagonis just side by side with 1 minute to go. NAVI are droning out Freezer. They see Levi in this position, and with the opening at the bottom of the wall, they can very easily push and punish the players that are over by the laundry bomb.
Absolutely. It also speaks to morale, right? If it's match point, you don't want to lose a player early, and that's only going to mean that the rest of the round gets hard. Doki, inside of sight, out of nowhere. Is secretly now injured down on the ground. Burber and Nate in his hand is going to throw it out, but it doesn't matter. Saves, finds one, and demonstrates it back onto Doki. But now we're finding ourselves in 2 versus 3. Neskin and Carl have to make a clutch to stay inside of this. Neskin finds one, but there are more to go. Remember, secretly still down on the ground. Nav will now stop planting down that diffuser. Saves will have to cover, and all secretly can do is cross his fingers, but I don't think that's going to be enough as Neskin finds another, and that leaves just Nav, who's gonna run all the way back up the staircase, try and have a friend, reviving secretly, both oh so low on health. We're talking 20, 30, 35. Nav will start planting on this sub 7 situation. Secretly doesn't find the cross, they push up, it's a trade-off. No! That's the planter down, Nav falls, leaving secretly as a last man standing, but that means Team 1 finds the round.
Wonderfully played by Nath to ascend the stairs and get secretly back up, and a completely unwinnable situation unless Nath goes for kills in the final 15 seconds. You get secretly back up, you have coverage, but the problem is that the bomb site is covered with these hard walls. You can't shoot through them. So secretly has to pick an avenue, he has to pick a lane, and he goes down the hallway. If secretly had stopped and repositioned towards that soft wall, he would have caught Alimao by the bomb chassis as Nath was planting by the box door. It was a much safer spot for Nath to play in, but he had no time left to do that. The timer was almost at 1. Alimao saves the round with a millisecond to spare, and if he doesn't get there, even if he gets the pick onto the planter, secretly is still upright. You need a 1v2 clutch with a smoke, who is not particularly well prepared for that with the positioning of the smoke, and it ends up with NAVI potentially winning the entire matchup. Now, the saving grace of Team 1 is that they still have a timeout. They haven't used it yet, by the way. I'd like to remind you that it does not cost anything for you to use a timeout. At any point, Team 1 can say, we need to settle ourselves down. But they're playing on defense. They are clearly confident in their setup, because if they lose this round, we go to Cafe, and Team 1 squander the opportunity to settle the team down and maybe, just maybe, sort out their issues to keep themselves here on Oregon. It's a mighty steep climb, but we've seen some mountaineers before. Will Team 1 get back to the top, or will NAVI seal the deal? This could be our very final round, as it's now a Dorms defense for Team 1. And upstairs, NAVI will have to bring it to them.
At the very least, if you're Team 1, just taking a couple of rounds off the side of NAVI so that if you go to that, or when you go to that second map of Cafe, they're not going to have as much cockiness and confidence in themselves. So shutting down the momentum a bit, then losing is a lot better than getting absolutely stomped in a one-sided matchup. On that previous round, the only thing from the side of NAVI that I question is that they chose to let secretly be injured on that tower stairs for quite some time. He almost bled out fully. right? But then at the very end, Nav actually got off the diffuser, ran up the staircase to make that 2 versus 1 into a 2 versus 2. So I question, should they have gone up earlier, helped secretly, and brought him down with the execute earlier in the round? Or did they make the right play of just trying to gamble it out and not spend that time? Because, to be honest, they did have the time to rescue him, because in the end, that's what they ended up doing.
I think they were just confident knowing that they had that numbers advantage. They got the early pick. You have the backside of the map controlled. At that point, all you need to do is just trade 1 for 1. Even with NAVI having 1 player immobilized for 7 seconds to plant the diffuser, it is at worst an even 4v4, and you've still got grenades. You still have utility. So does Team 1, by the way. But at the end of the day, I would be confident if I was Navi and secretly could have very easily said, as he's the leader on this team, don't get me, get the diffuser planted, maybe get me in the post-plant. So we're halfway through what could be our final round. It's a dorms take for Navi. Neskin is off-site. He's down below. Doki is very close to him. Blur is actually not that far away, but Doki knows this. And there's a rotate inside of security where he could be watching. Is there any intel to give his position away? Or will Doki potentially net a kill?
Well, you do have both the Valkyrie and the Echo being brought up from Team 1, but we saw a 6-pick from Saves onto IQ. That is the first IQ that I personally have seen at the 6 Invitationals of 2022. Love to see it from Navi, the flexibility, the understanding, reading of the game, but that is not enough. You gotta utilize the gadget correctly, and of course, you still gotta do all the previous steps that you have to do beforehand, getting kills, getting map control, and finding the openings. But no, it's KDS with the Deagle of all weapons, taking down Blur. That's the sledge off the board, gets traded back straight away from a nade from down below from Doki. Beautifully done.
A bit of a sloppy effort there from Blur to try to get away after he had engaged. I think he did not expect the Valkyrie to peek out again. I would like to once again tell you that KDS is the best performing player on this team statistically. Nath is very safe by that foosball table, getting the diffuser planted. Down goes Saves, and Lagonis will swing on up. Oh, they're not watching him. Lagonis, a big 3 play. Secretly is the last one alive, and he gets out-dueled by Ali Mao. So Team 1 clearly knows something that we don't. They'll get the diffuser as well. Navi go for broke in the middle of the bomb site, but exceptionally poor coverage allows Lagonis to waltz out, destroy Navi, get the diffuser planter, and the round follows.
That's gonna feel really good if you're Lagonis. This is a player that is kind of like the super of Latam in a way, where you're a lot of like LGLing, leading, leadership, captainship, and droning. And I mean, Lagonis last round, that was a highlight reel. He ran through, got 3 kills, denied the planter, and Nath as well. Beautifully done. Yes, Nath did get the planter down successfully, but there was no one alive to play the post-plant really. I believe it was secretly last alive. He died shortly after, so that didn't really matter. Very well done from Navi. They got the trade back when the first player fell. Doki traded back with a grenade. That made that a 4 versus 4. Then they said, you know what? Go time. Run in with from Nave, plant the diffuser. Good. Cover, little bit lackluster, or at the very least, Lagonis just found the headshots if anything. Well done for him. And yeah, now we're gonna go back to a kitchen dining bomb site. Team 1 now is starting to go through it actually. They're locking bomb sites because they're getting victories, and they are starting the potential of a comeback. And again, at the very least, even if they don't make it, they're shutting Navi down in their tracks so that the next map is going to be a little bit different, hopefully.
So we've now seen every single bomb site played on Oregon. Kudos to Team 1 for trotting this out when we had seen the meeting petition, or the meeting portion earlier on. Now instead they'll move over to kitchen, mess hall, cafeteria, etc. On the left side of the screen for you, when we went top down, as it's on the, the western side of the map. There you go, a nice, beautiful view, cross-section of Oregon. Again, an Echo getting brought out. The IQ experiment for Navi only lasts a single round, and I don't know if you can pin the entirety of that round on an IQ, but she just lacks so much critical explosives and utility that teams don't really use her all that much, and it's easy. Ban a Valkyrie, you don't really need to bring an IQ, especially on maps where you can have those pesky exterior cams. It was something that Navi tried to do. They threw a Valkyrie camera on the tower window to try and scout out the windows that are on kids' dorms, and it got spotted pretty quickly, but you don't need an IQ to see those. Sometimes it can get a little bit tougher. That one change to Valkyrie hasn't kicked in yet, which disallows her from throwing cams outside, as they'll disconnect after just a couple seconds.
It's very true. Not out yet, but will be in the future. Fun fact, at least from my player experience.
Give me a fun fact. Give me it.
I'll give it to you. LATAM as a region has always been recognized and seen as the best region to find Valkyrie cameras, always.
Yes, absolutely. It was actually funny because if you look at some of the stats on the best performing players, some of their most used operators on defense tend to be Valkyrie.
Yes.
You look at when Psycho was an absolute monster. Who was Psycho playing? Valkyrie. Over and over and over again.
Ask himself.
So, Ask was also
a Valkyrie Reflex player. I remember
quite
that
a lot. So exactly. So these are players that excel with that low recoil, low rate of fire, but still a headshot machine in the MPX. And then of course you got the 3 cameras that can give so much intel. Okay. Fleur is also down. Crossbody karate from Neskin in the back tower. 2 big kills, and that might have completely derailed Navi's push.
I mean, that's pretty much where, like, you as a player, you go, that's the round, guys. Now we just go off the plan, go crazy, try and find picks, because that's what we have to do. Doki, so proficient at it, doesn't find that the Gonis is there once again. 4th headshot in 2 rounds.
Well, we are staring down the barrel of quite a comeback from Team 1. NAVI might end up being the team to take their time out because, well, a flawless round looks likely again.
I'm thinking flawless on the menu.
We almost had a flawless round in round number 2 from Team 1. There was a single kill from NAVI to rob the Brazilians of that opportunity. Will Saves be able to bring somebody down with him? We could see an absolute incredible feat, but instead he'll shoot through the floor. This is a bit messy, and no! Ali Mao is...
Right now we're seeing Save 6ing from the buck onto the Flores, so this kind of signifies like a blue backside take if anything, but we'll see what Navi has in mind. Either way, they'll have to start showing up soon.
Oh, a defender-sided Oregon is what we are currently witnessing. The first half had a single round go in favor of the attackers. That's it. It was round number 2. Since then, there has been another attacking round victory. Round 7, which is what propelled Navi to match point, or to map point, if you want to call it that. I think specificity is important.
Yeah.
But since then, it has been all Team 1, and the defense are winning again in spades. 2 more rounds for Team 1 to send this map to overtime. Team 1 obviously showing a lot of confidence. They pick this map against Navi. They go down very early on. They have a couple sloppy rounds. They don't call a timeout.
No.
And despite that, they have forced Navi to be the one to pull the ripcord first. Now Team 1 still has that in their back pocket. The problem is that there's no room for error between now and overtime. If Team 1 is going to call that timeout, it will be done in OT. They've still got 2 more rounds to go, which will mean that they'll have won 5 straight. That is not all that common, but it's been done once already. Navi did it from round 3 to round 7. So it is entirely possible that Lightning can strike twice here on this map. We'll see 30 seconds into what, once again, could be our very final round, but we've been saying that for the last 2 rounds, and neither have been the case.
That we have. Doki doing Doki things, entering with a drone between his feet. Sees that is very well done. Navigating good map control and progressing through the map organically right now. They've pretty much cleared it out in 45-ish seconds, which, if you look at timers of how competitive teams and how efficiently they clear, is actually quite good. But with that being said, Team 1, they're not contesting it a whole lot either, so that is to be expected. As long as Navi has drones and that prep phase inside the building, they should know that Team 1 has a very weak roam presence, which means it all comes down to the bomb site setup. And this makes a lot of sense. You got Banshees from Levi on the Melusi, you got Grismot Mines from Lagonis and Niella, and you got a Rooney Gauge from KDS. So obviously the bomb site is very much an enforced position, so Team 1 should play around that.
Well, for this downstairs execute, Navi's focus starts on Meeting Hall. This is the same rhythm that we've seen both of these teams use throughout this map, which is take control of Meeting, try to take control of Pillar. From then, you split your forces. Do you keep somebody down at Laundry Stairs? Quite possibly. Navi did it before. Do you put somebody down by Freezer? Quite possibly. Again, that's where Navi went. And Navi very narrowly took the map here on this bomb site. There was a bit of an issue with coverage when Ali Mao swung, and the very first pick is going to go to Navi. A nice nade tossed down after some of that gadgetry is cleared on the box door. Ali Mao forced to throw out a smoke with just a minute to go. Means that he has just 2 left. Nice shot from KDS. He'll look for a second now onto these tower stairs and creep up the shoulder of the sledge scene for a second. Blur shrugs it off, and he can continue to hold this position. I don't know if he's aware of how close the Aruni is tucked in the corner. That barbed wire is going to give information as KDS looks to punish him, but the nade goes down. It's a Dark Zero nade because KDS doesn't take any damage. Say goodbye to KDS, though. Blur cleans that one up. He's still got the barbed in front of him. Team 1's numbers will dwindle, but they have an advantage. They had 8, or Navi has the advantage. There was a disadvantage for Team 1, but they still made it work on the previous defense. Ali Mao was kingmaker on that round. Will he hold that same position? Lagonis very low on 1 HP. That does not bode well for Team 1 as the last nade goes in, and Doki will follow, taking out Neskin, breaking the gate. Lagonas falls, and it's Ali Mao to clutch again. Will he be the savior 2 times in a row? Diffuser going down, damage done to Blur, but Doki says no thank you. NAVI takes the map.
That is gonna feel good if you're NAVI. The timeout really paid off by the looks of it. They spoke about what they were going to do for that specific round. They said, guys, we get one more shot, we're gonna end it right then and there. It's probably gonna be basement. The 6 pick from the buck onto the floors really did work. It helped clear out that utility.